Could you quickly define ESG for you? And would you be able to give like let's say a very precise example explaining, how ESG improvements have directly impacted like financial value? Because I think like, I mean, still today it's very hard to understand, well, except when there is a regulation, etc. So, I mean, you do X and you have the right to operate, or you don't do it and you don't have the right to operate. So that's very simple, but it's very often very hard to link ESG criteria to actual value add and maybe, financial performance.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right on the last point, especially on the fact that a lot that people talk about ESG is about kind of long-term value, and obviously you only see that at the end based on the multiples that I guess you sell the asset, and then it's still very difficult to define, how much of that was actually driven by ESG. So, from our perspective, it's also kind of thinking about that short-term profit and how can ESG drive that. And to give you an example, it's quite a recent actually example. So it's one of our utility assets in Finland, which essentially does two key things. One is distribute electricity. So it's got a electricity grid, but also provides district heating. So it generates the heat and then distributes from the kind of heat pipes. And earlier this year, we've actually had an initiative of leasing some of our land to a data center operator, where the data center operator was able to install the data center, a module data center, essentially close to our district heating production plant. The benefit to the company was the benefit to a data center provider was that actually we, as you know, one of the biggest issues with data centers is about getting grid connection. But because of the location of our utility, there was grid connectivity. So, they were able to kind of get connected pretty quickly to get the electric feed. But also, as part of this, we were able to connect the data center to our district heating. So all the excess heat, rather than being dissipated into the air, was able to be pushed into our grid. And why is that important from our company's perspective? Was we've got additional revenue from connection to the electricity grid, and obviously from usage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we also were able to get a very low cost of heat into our district heating network, which at the same time displaced some of the biomass that we were burning. So biomass is already deemed as a kind of renewable heat source anyway, but actually once you can get into everyone's now focusing on getting to complete non-combustible heat sources. So what we're able to achieve in a short term is about 25% decrease in our costs linked to heat sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
But actually we're also able to reduce the operating of the boiler by 50%. So during the summer, we don't use the boiler at all. It's all coming from the data centers. So you can see there's a true environmental impact there. But you also have, it goes straight to your bottom line as well in a short term. And so, go back to what I said earlier, a lot of the kind of the business planning, when we look at new investments, part of it is actually around, identifying those ESG targets and identifying how we could potentially drive short-term value as well. And those get put into the business plan that we then look to deliver.